Good day, family. Back to express some of the things, elaborate, expound upon some of the things that I was expressing in the introductory video. Now, a lot of you know that I am personally interested in psychology, cultural psychology. That is what I attended the European schools for initially before I found out that this is fraudulent information being passed around and it is just another form of indoctrination used to abuse and misguide the youth into another form of psychosis. But upon this journey, I also needed to explore holistics because I know that without a healthy body, without a healthy spirit, there is no healthy mind. All of these things have to be in alignment. So, where did I go to? I went to Nutricide by Dr. Afrika. Dr. Afrika has always been something, a good resource elder for me to use as a tool when I was studying personally, which I study personally all the time. But Dr. Afrika has a lot of information and a lot of explanations in detail about why it is so important for us to get back to a holistic way of life. Now, I know you saw me eating the pizza and you saw me eating the McDonald's and the soda and things like that, but I can explain to you why that is. So, story time. I love my mother. I love my mother deeply. I love my family. I love my family deeply. But my mother is very near and dear to me. I speak about her highly. I speak about her wherever I am, with whoever I'm speaking with, when it comes to family in regards to that. And a lot of you may already know that I am planning on moving to the motherland for good to do the greatest good, the highest good in the near future, which is in about 4 years. So, before I go there, I have to be well disciplined. I have to be well versed in my knowledge in my practices of daily life. I don't want to go there to offend. I have to learn the language. I have to study the holistics, and I have to honor the honorable ancestors that have been there before me, and I have to take note from all of those people. So when we get into these different forms of genocide, basically, we have we can list them. We have homicide, suicide, matricide, nutricide, um, patricide. All of these different ways of killing us, and we have to really be aware of these things. And I want to make you aware of these things because you may not be aware of these things. And if you are aware of these things, then you may find some discomfort in surviving in America and finding proper resources and uh, healthy resources to really engage in this journey. So what you're gonna have to do is get knowledgeable. I mean, you're gonna have to fast, and sometimes that's not always going to work out the way that you think it's going to work out because you are going to still be dealing with the emotions of existing in this European society. And this European society has a lot of frustration that it fuels, it has a lot of stress that it puts on you because you are not existing in your own culture. You have to be around stereotypes, you have to be around oppressive and ignorant whites. You have to, work for their benefit. But this is all a belief. This is all a belief. But we'll get into that on another day. But today we're going to talk about nutricide and what nutricide is. Nutricide, this book I've been reading for a couple of weeks now. I've never really embarked on a full journey of what nutricide really entails in the details, but I've always known what it was just from the psychological background. So when you get into nutricide, you get into the nutritional destruction of the biological warfare that we're experiencing. So let's talk about let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Uh, let's see. I'm gonna read with you, to you, with you, with you, what Dr. Afrika has to say about the white out of our culture and what processed foods does to our bodies. So, Africans in America pretty much eat embalmed foods. We eat a lot of things from our emotions. When we're frustrated, we eat salty things. When we need love, we eat sweet things. And that's pretty much the cycle that is how it goes. And these addictions, because they're not foods, just we have to keep the proper context. They're not foods, they're drugs. And these addictions are meant to cripple us, they're meant to disable us, and they're meant to give us diseases until we are destroyed ultimately. So Dr. Afrika goes to say that Africans should avoid processed foods and try to avoid plants that Caucasians have bred. For example, wheat, oats, say white rice, grits, lima beans, chickpeas, black eyed peas, pigeon peas, carrots, celery, cauliflower, beets, peanuts, bean, which is a bean, pistachios, cashews, walnuts, pecans, and sunflower seeds. Nightshades such as eggplants, tomatoes, bell peppers, asparagus, potatoes should be avoided. The African diet should be less than 5% wheat instead of over the 50% wheat diet of Caucasians. Africans are not used to this mucus forming anti melanin high wheat diet. And what is melanin? Melanin is a chemical, it is your highest memory. It is what people mention when they talk about the pineal gland, which is not a gland, it is an organ. An organ creates and a gland secretes. It's very important that we know the difference between those things moving forward. And sometimes you're gonna have this knowledge that's conflicted with, your emotional state. And the reason why I mentioned my mother earlier, trying not to stray off topic this time, but I mentioned my mother earlier because I have a deep connection with my mother, and the bonding that me and my mother have, it is it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong, and when she frustrates me, I usually end up losing control. I lose control and I end up eating the salty stuff or the sweet stuff. And I don't really have a holistic village or a cultural, psychological um, group village that I can express these things with. So I am left to my own frustrations, and disaster soon ensues. But the main object is to eat as natural as possible and as much raw foods as possible. Follow the rules of food combining and do not mix protein with starch. Now, when we get into proteins and starch, we have to realize that we are electric people. So, electric people need electric foods, alkaline. Alkaline is probably something that you may have heard Dr. Sebi mention, and you will hear Dr. Afrika mention, and you will hear other holistic practitioners mention, but you have to do your due diligence because some of their knowledge does conflict, and they do have their reason for their different philosophies, but it's up to you to be able to use your discernment to find out what is best for you because we do live in different times and we do have different mixing of genes that have come from the disruption of the Europeans' rape and the Europeans' manipulation of the foods and the epigenetics projects that they have done to try to control us. So we have to really try to get back to what's not try to, but really get back to what's natural. And what that includes is fasting. Fasting out of respect for your ancestors, out of respect for yourself, and out of respect for nature. Nature cannot provide for you consume basis, when you consume the planet and its resources, you will find yourself in a desolate place. You will find yourself in a desperate place. You will find yourself in what the Europeans kind of like to talk about often, apocalypse. And that is what their systems are made around, the apocalypse. It's a survivor's system. It's a dog eat dog world and survival of the fittest. There is no harmony, there is no balance, there is no respect, there is no reciprocity. So we have to align ourselves into the nutritional way of thinking, of eating, of being, simply just being. If you can talk and make yourself sick, you can speak with others who don't have that energy to give to you, that positive energy to give to you. They have a lot of negative feed that they try to give to you, which induces stress, anxiety, paranoia, all of these things. So it's best that you kind of make time to go about your day for peace, and for harvesting peace, and for harvesting respect, and for harvesting those different things. Manifestation is just a form of harvesting, really. So it's everything works in alignment with nature and your ancient ancestors, the righteous ones. And you will see that all the time because that's the truth. That's the truth, if the truth is what you're seeking. Now, I don't have much time here, and this video is only going to be about another 12 minutes because I have to delete other things on my phone. But I really encourage you all to engage and to give your input on just this short topic that keeping it real, I'm not going to edit anything. My mind is still in the fog, and I want to be able to express these things and show you that these things are real. When I ate that processed food from my frustrations of dealing with my mother, these are very real effects. It makes the brain foggy. It makes you forgetful. It attacks your bones with inflammation. It gives you high blood pressure, and it gives you central headaches right here. It's a lot of things that go on, but that is where that commitment to discipline comes in, and that is where we have to really engage that discipline and see it for our highest good and seek out. I have a young lady who I call Clarity who keeps me in alignment with that when I'm feeling when I'm not feeling my best. I rely on her and she relies on me, but we're only two people, and we need more of that whole village to come back to give us that strength and to give us that wisdom and that knowledge in which we seek. So don't just rely on the books, rely on other people's experiences and their expertise, and you will become whole in the process, and you will get back to Sankofa as intended. Thank you, family. Love you. Peace.